Welcome to this training brought to you by the North San Diego County Realtors, where we turn real-world case interpretations published by the National Association of Realtors into practical lessons that strengthen your understanding of the Code of Ethics in action. Today's focus: presentation of subsequent offers after acceptance from Case Interpretation 1-12 under Article 1 of the Realtor Code of Ethics. Let's begin with Article 1 of the Realtor Code of Ethics, which frames this case. Here, the issue wasn't whether the realtor worked to market the property, but whether he had to present subsequent offers after one had already been accepted.
Realtor A, the listing broker, presented an offer to purchase to his client, Seller X, which was $20,000 less than the property's listed price. The property had been on the market for several months and had not generated much interest. In his presentation, Realtor A told Seller X that, in his opinion, the offer was a good one, and Seller X should consider accepting it. With interest rates on their way up again, said Realtor A, properties are just not moving the way they did 6 months ago. Seller X decided to accept the offer and the transaction closed. Several months after the sale, Seller X filed a complaint against Realtor A, alleging a violation of Article 1, as interpreted by Standard of Practice 1-7. It had come to Seller X's attention that a second offer had been made on the property after Seller X had accepted the first offer, but prior to closing. This second offer, alleged Seller X, had not been submitted to him by Realtor A and was for $2,500 more than the first offer. Seller X's complaint stated that by not presenting the second offer to him, Realtor A had not acted in his, the seller's, best interest, as required by Article 1. At the hearing, Realtor A produced a copy of the listing contract, which contained a provision reading, "Seller agrees that broker's responsibility to present offers to purchase to seller for his consideration terminates with seller's acceptance of an offer." Realtor A told the hearing panel that he had explained this provision to Seller X at the listing presentation, and that Seller X had agreed to it, as indicated by Seller X's signature on the listing contract. Seller X admitted that he had understood and agreed to the provision at the time he listed the property, but he felt that Realtor A should have advised him of the second, higher offer nonetheless. The hearing panel found Realtor A not in violation of Article 1. In their decision, the panel noted that Realtor A had explained the contract provision relieving him of the obligation to submit subsequent offers to Seller X, that Seller X had agreed to the provision and had signed the listing contract, and that while it was unfortunate that Seller X had received less than full price for the property, Realtor A had fulfilled his obligations under the listing contract once the first offer to purchase had been accepted by Seller X.
Realtor A presented Seller X with an offer that was $20,000 below the listing price. He explained that with rising interest rates and slowing activity, this was a reasonable offer to accept. Seller X agreed and the transaction closed. But months later, Seller X discovered that a second offer had come in after he had accepted the first, but before closing. The second offer was $2,500 higher. Seller X filed an ethics complaint against Realtor A. He alleged a violation of Article 1 as interpreted by Standard of Practice 1-7, which relates to the handling of offers. His claim: Realtor A should have presented the second, higher offer, giving him the chance to decide whether to switch buyers. Seller X believed that by not presenting it, Realtor A had failed to act in his best interest. At the hearing, Realtor A presented the listing contract, which included a specific provision. Seller agrees that broker's responsibility to present offers to purchase to seller for his consideration terminates with seller's acceptance of an offer. Realtor A testified that he had reviewed this clause with Seller X at the listing appointment, and Seller X had signed the agreement. Seller X admitted he had understood the provision at the time, but later felt that the realtor should have told him about the second offer anyway. The hearing panel found Realtor A not in violation of Article 1. They noted that the listing contract clearly released Realtor A from presenting subsequent offers after one had been accepted. Seller X had understood and signed that agreement. While it was unfortunate that Seller X later learned of a higher offer, the panel concluded that Realtor A had fulfilled his obligation under both the contract and the code. Here are the key takeaways. The listing agreement defines your duties, so be clear about unusual provisions. Sellers should fully understand how subsequent offers will be handled. Transparency up front helps prevent later complaints. And remember, if you fulfill your contractual duties, you also fulfill the ethical obligations under Article 1. Let's reflect. Even if you weren't required, would you still present a subsequent offer to maintain trust? How would you explain this kind of clause to a client before they sign? Could Realtor A have avoided conflict by voluntarily sharing the second offer? Thanks for joining us for this case interpretation review. This case shows us how contracts and client expectations must align, because unmet expectations often turn into complaints. Protect your client's trust, act with honesty and loyalty, and stay grounded in the code. For more real-world training and resources, visit www.youtube.com/@NSDC Realtors.